Holograms are unbelievably cool. They feel like this perfect blend of something that is straight out of the future, but also incredibly easy to make. Like, you can build one at home in 5 minutes. So I want to make one the easy way to show you how all of this works. And then I want to take it to the extreme and build one like you have never seen before. To begin with the easy version of all of this, there's only actually a few things that you need to be able to make a hologram. You need a clear sheet, something to support it, and a video. Cardboard is the easiest and the cheapest way to make this, so we'll start here. There's not even anything fancy to this. You just need a good way to hold the clear sheet at an angle. This build is just a simple box, and there's a 45-degree cut going down the interior sides that the clear sheet can slip into at that angle. The top then has a hole for the video, and you're pretty much done in 5 minutes. For the video portion, there are plenty of online resources that you can use to be able to test your hologram. My favorite is always the jellyfish, but I also want to try and make my own custom ones later in the video. This is all so simple. It is just reflecting the video on a clear screen, but the result of that is this futuristic floating hologram. So that is how all of the basics work. But what if we turned it up a notch? I've always wanted to build a big one, and I think I have the perfect spot for it. Well, I had an idea to build a huge hologram at my desk for this top area. Now you're seeing what I'm seeing, and when I'm sitting here at the desk, the visibility to this recessed pocket up here at the top of the desk is basically hidden. So I want to build a giant hologram that fits inside of that space. And the screen can be retractable, so it can drop down and create that holographic display when I want it, but it leaves most of this to be 99% invisible. Now, the cool thing about holograms is being able to actually see through them, and this is currently just a blank wall. So my plan is to build a series of gears and pulleys to operate the movement of that screen on the back wall. So you see all of the operating mechanics through the retractable hologram. Now, gear chains kind of still scare me. I still get PTSD flashbacks from last time whenever I think about making gears again. But I have a lot more knowledge this time around. Starting in the center, I need to build a planetary gear set. I'm in the middle of learning the program and I still suck at it, but Fusion actually makes this pretty simple because they have a gear generator that you can adjust with settings. I am not kidding when I say I am terrible at this program. Within an hour, all I even managed to do was give the gears a seizure because I didn't understand the drop-down movement menu. A while later, after completing a lot more, I realized that my ratios for the teeth were wrong, so I had to go back and redo it all. And I managed to finally fix that, only to go back to struggling even more with the motion. But after nearly 5 hours, 18. Okay. Oh, yes, yes, yes! This is only the beginning of what I need. The teeth are the most important part, so they're going to be 3D printed. This is way too big to print in one go, so I'm dividing it into parts to then assemble later. The webbing that joins these two parts together can be made out of laser cut acrylic, and that can be fastened together to join the outer and the inner set of teeth. For the style of this, I tried to keep it similar to other parts of the desk, such as the webbing being similar to the structure that make up the drawers, or the exposed hardware at the edge of some panels. I also tried to design all of this in increments of 20 degrees so that I could always align the joints in the valleys and have any of the connection pieces span over multiple parts. I have about half of the parts that I need to build this ring, but I want to do a test fit before I just fully send everything. The holes on the 3D prints are just barely large enough so that I can put some M3 bolts in. This way, the threads basically carve their own path into the walls very gently to secure them in place. I also made a tiny lip on all of the parts so that the acrylic will sit flush when everything is secured down. To get all of this done, I'm using the E2 Ultra by Fantic, who sponsored this video. Screwing into resin can be scary because it's brittle and it can chip or break if I'm not careful. But on these tools, you have adjustable torque settings, making it perfect for delicate jobs like this or working on small electronics. The storage shell holds 50 steel precision bits for any situation that you need, with all of this packing into a minimalist case that you can access with the satisfying pop-up feature. Having a built-in light and torque indicator makes using this super easy. And if you want something larger, they have the S2 Pro Max screwdriver as well. Still, with all of the same design features that make both screwdrivers great, the torque range on this one is even larger to help assemble furniture at the high end. Thanks to that and their 90-degree adapter, this will be a critical tool later on to help me screw this top assembly into the plywood. Sponsors like these help me turn my ideas into reality, so make sure to check these tools out through the links in the description below. With the Amazon coupon and using code ROBERTE2 or ROBERTS2 at checkout, there are some incredible discounts, so get them now if you're thinking about it. Thanks again to Fantic for sponsoring this video. With about half of this assembled now, it's all looking good, so I went ahead and printed out more of the teeth to finish building this ring. While those were getting printed, I also finished laser cutting all of the webbing that I will need to connect the inner and outer portions. With the Formlabs printer being busy doing multiple runs for those teeth, I just made the back plate out of PLA because this is a much less important part. This will be the mount for the gears on the inside. The first gear that gets placed in the center is called the sun gear because everything orbits around this one. And these are called the planet gears, obviously because they're flat. I have completely fallen in love with the clear resin prints. Like, this entire assembly looks so good. But the one issue is there is a lot of cleanup. It's more safe to print them at an angle, but then you get supports. And these leave tiny little nubs that need to get removed with multiple layers of sanding and then sprayed with a clear coat to get it back to its normal state. It's not a big deal, it's not anything hard to do, it's just one more step that needs to happen to make all of these pieces look flawless, so it does add up. The completed assembly feels like it's running pretty smooth. I added some press fit bearings into the planet gears, so between that and the offset stand, there isn't a lot of friction here. The only thing of concern at this point is the actual joints. I completely forgot to model in the tolerances between these parts, so the interior teeth are perfect, but the outer set has a little bit of a gap in some places. The cause could also be the heat from laser cutting the acrylic and it just slightly warping that. I don't really know, and I also don't really care at this point, so I'm just going to ignore the issue until it becomes a problem. With the main gear completed, it will have 2 more gears on either side that mount to a pulley system. The gears on the outside will have a thin nylon fishing line running around them that goes up and then over to the front lip of the acrylic with a pulley to let this drop down. So as everything spins, it winds or unwinds the nylon to control the height. To be able to plan out where those parts need to land, I first need to mount a couple of things to the back. I started out by drilling a hole in the center of the back panel for a motor. This is absolutely miserable drilling through the acoustic panel because this stuff just shreds into pieces and it really clogs the blade, but eventually I got through. And if my landlord asks, that hole was here when I moved in.
That went into the drywall, didn't it?
I next put up the center mounting plate and then screwed that into the plywood backing, and now that I have a center point, I can work on the monitor for the underside of the plywood. It turns out that when you're looking for an ultra-wide monitor that is at least 30 inches long, less than 10 inches high, it can't be curved, and the assembly of it is less than 20 millimeters, that just doesn't exist. Like, even the aspect ratio of that is just disgusting on its own. No one in their right mind would ever need something like that except for me. So there are 2 options that I can take. I can spend thousands of dollars creating a custom one, or I just buy 2. And realistically, this will probably match better with my main 2 monitor setup. These look like the best ones that I could find for my use. These are actually just travel laptop screen extenders, and they are super cheap. I think I paid like $50 instead of needing to spend thousands, and they can just plug in like all of the other monitors. Flipping one of the monitors will cause some issues later on, but this will allow them to both lie flat. I 3D printed some of these tab supports that will just swivel in place. A screw can get dropped in, and then all of that gets secured into the plywood top, and then the tab can just rotate to take the monitors out for any reason. With the monitors now set up, I can go back to working on the pulley system and the clear screen. When I was testing out the teleprompter software, I had a realization that's going to make this a little bit harder. The screen is kind of large. It's 30 inches wide, so I was going to use this thicker acrylic. The problem is, this actually makes a worse reflection. If I use the example from earlier and then compare it to this, you can see that the larger acrylic just does not look good. With a thicker sheet, the light is also catching off of that back face with the larger space in between those faces, and so that doubling of the image is making it look less crisp. So actually, the thin sheet is better. Except, this has the structural integrity of a wet noodle. This is already sagging, and it's going to be even worse when it's larger, so I need to support it somehow. I messed around a little bit with a pre-tensioned idea. If I use the same nylon string and just tension it up beforehand, it will make this as minimal as possible visually. And then when it wants to sag, it will just go back to being normal and perfectly flat. It worked better in my head. In reality, this is just way too flexible. So I'm just immediately going to the opposite side of the spectrum, and I cut down some threaded metal rod, grinded all of those edges smooth, and then I can use this for the front and the back. This should hopefully blend in a little bit with the aluminum, and then that front lip is always hidden when it's dropped down, but the sides will always be visible. So for that, I have this fancy crack pipe looking 3D print that slots over the rod and the edges to help stiffen it up all the way around. And then finally, I made some small tabs to secure the rod to the edges. At this point, I basically have all of the parts that I need, so let's put this together. Everything is put together now, so we are nearly there. The pulleys are now running smooth after some adjustments, all of the gears are on and secured, and now this has power running to it. To be able to control the height of the screen, the other controls for the desk are just hidden down by my right side. So I thought of just adding another button to control that screen. But that would be a lot of wiring just running everywhere, so I decided to take a different path. Jarvis, lower the screen. Voice activation would be really hard to do, so I'm just using a wireless remote. I got this receiver all hooked up so that I didn't need to run wires everywhere except into the motor, which is also just huge. So I also 3D printed a sleeve for it so we can securely mount to the back. Now it's also a good time to talk about the sun gear because it's a little unique and special, and it's actually two different parts. This is a magnetic coupling gear. I think. I never actually looked up the term for it, so I'm just going to say that with confidence. But what's important here is that it's really cool, and it also saves my stupid little monkey brain from needing to wire a limit switch. The acrylic screen moves in two directions. Going down, it's pretty much unlimited, so there's not really anything that can go wrong. But going up, there could be problems. It only takes 3 seconds to raise the screen back up to the top. But that's longer than my attention span, so I'm already scrolling TikTok at that point. If the motor is still trying to reel in that acrylic plate and it has nowhere else to go, this whole system will just rip itself apart. This should prevent that. The magnets on the inside will hold together so that this works normally, but when something binds up on the gears and there is resistance, the top will shear off of the magnets, leaving only the shaft to spin freely, but the gear teeth will stay in place. With all of the mechanics working, the screen functional, now all we need to do is to make some holograms. All of the same videos from before still work well, but what I'm more interested in is what I can make for it. Some stuff works better than others. Because I now need 2 screens, there is a small gap in the image between the two, and so having images jump from one to the other doesn't work as well. You can still get the graphics from either side to work together to create a large image. You just need to plan around not using that center space. I wish I was better at animating to give this the showcase that it deserves, but my 2 favorite ones that I made was this little forest creature who just pops up above the monitors to look at what you're working on before disappearing once again. And the other one was just a mini untethered astronaut that just slowly floats through the darkness in the space above the monitors. There is also functional elements to this as well. It's not all just artsy and cool. They are monitors at the end of the day, so you can toss Discord or Spotify up there if you're wanting to fully utilize the other 2 monitors but still have that up. Also, because all 4 of these are interconnected, it is a weird visual to see the mouse cursor hit the edge of the monitor, but then just slowly drift off into space above it. It's a really cool accidental feature. There are just so many cool things to explore with this, but that's where I'm going to leave it for now. If you have a good idea for it, put it down in the comments below, and I might explore with it over on my Instagram, where there will also be more videos about this if you want to see more.